Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Ghost Rider Issue 1. And this was a really great issue. I enjoyed how they set this up, and I just think it's a really great premise that we're focusing on Johnny Blaze being the King of Hell, and Danny Ketch trying to fight being the Ghost Rider. And where this seems to be kind of heading is that they're going to be clashing, at least in the foreseeable future, until they're like, okay, we gotta stop the rest of these demons. So we start off and we kind of get reacclimated to Johnny being the king of hell and all that. We see other demons really don't like it, and as he's like kind of narrating, we see that there's been a lot of escape attempts and people trying to, and eventually try and take over his throne. And we see that these other demons are pretty much still loyal to Mephisto, and they kill this one dude to open up a portal into the Earth realm where Mephisto is being held. And right as they're trying to go at him, go in and get onto Earth, Johnny and the rest of his kind of entourage demon people come in, and we see like it's really well done. It really does great artwork for showing off the majesty of the Ghost Rider and then all the other kind of demons around. There's this one that's got like these insect legs, a chicken head, and it's like shooting a gun. It was just the craziest fucking looking thing, and I'm like, yep, this is gonna be good. So we see that all these demons are trying to pour out of hell, but Johnny's able to capture this one weird duck demon cherub headed one, and he's like, I ain't telling you shit, you ain't the king. He's like, alright. Tells his other kind of demon dude to kind of take him down to like this lower level and have him like tortured and all that. That should loosen his tongue. I'm like, there you go, as he dives into Earth through the portal. And what I really like that is it's a thing that you don't notice at first until you've really kind of read a lot of stuff that deals with the devil, and it usually whenever the devil takes kind of like a human form, they usually wear red, and it's kind of great that they keep that kind of motif going with Johnny as he's walking on Earth. He's got red sunglasses, a red shirt. It's kind of interesting to see him have that as being the king of hell, and him being kind of a different king of hell. He's not really going around to like corrupt anyone or anything. He's just going around to try and keep the assholes in prison, and he's like that warden that's like, I don't really want this job, but I'm gonna take it. So I kind of like that they had that. So he's walking around talking about how he can smell sin just like everywhere, that is kind of amped up because, well, he pretty much lives in a place of concentrated sin. So he's like, all right, let's try and work this out and see what's going on. We then switch over to Ketch as he's pretty much getting into a fight with some drunk patrons that had evidently acted very rudely towards his bartender, and he evidently owns a bar, and he's almost getting ready to turn into the Ghost Rider when somebody pretty much tells him to bugger off. They do, and it's his old girlfriend Stacy, and evidently Danny's mother had died recently, and she's pretty much saying, hey, your mom wouldn't want you to be acting like this. If you need any help, just call me. And he's just like, fine, whatever. And of course, the bartender's talking about everything. Like, listen, I had it. They're like 6 drinks in. Now they didn't pay. No tips. So you can't really keep fighting all the customers. He's like, fine, whatever. I'm going to the bank. And we, of course, see the differences in Johnny and Danny as Danny constantly fights being the Ghost Rider. He doesn't want to give in. He even talks about it as an invasion as he turns into his Ghost Rider and rides off on his motorcycle, which is an awesome splash page. Just really does it justice as he's like running through, and then he runs into this giant ass demon that is there. It's like, holy shit. And he kind of gets thrown a little bit, and then Johnny kind of pops up and like, hey, want some help with this kind of thing? He's like, you know what's going on? Talking about how most of the demons don't respect the new management and everything, and Danny's like, hey, sometimes you got to demand the respect as he's going after the demon, since Johnny's like, hey, listen, the thing's blind as well, so the penance stare isn't going to work. And he's like, fine, then you find another way to do it. Wraps his chain kind of around its upper jaw, and then just goes through and like fucking rips it from the inside out. It was fucking awesome. So of course, after they just after he's pretty much chunkified that demon, they go and pretty much talk things over at the bar. Of course, Johnny is trying to enlist his aid to round up the rest of the demons, somewhere around about a dozen or so. And of course, Danny doesn't want to be a Ghost Rider. He's like, listen, that was your bag. I don't like this thing. I'm not giving into it. Hopefully someday it just gives up on me and goes find someone else. It's like, all right, fine, just letting you know, I gave you a chance. You just sit on your ass and drink. Talk about this later. He's like, hey, you're good here at the Fadeaway, but if it's Ghost Rider related, screw that. And of course, we see that Johnny is moving because he has seen someone at the corner of his eye that, of course, he has a little bit of flame in, and be like, okay, that person needs to be followed, and goes off. And of course, the bartender is talking about how it's interesting that ex-girlfriends are popping up, and your brother comes up, and of course, she just kind of gives him the bottle, cutting out the middleman, and he decides to go off. In between these kind of things, we had seen that somebody has pretty much named Lilith is also gunning for Johnny's throne, and evidently leads a group of moped ladies. I'm like, yes. Bikes versus mopeds. It's gonna be interesting. But evidently she took out one of the guards that was guarding where the portal was, and like, hey, I'm the true successor. That becomes important because we then split up between what's going on, as Danny has gone to drink at his mother's grave, and evidently during that funeral he Ghost Ridered out, and he's like, the thing couldn't even leave me alone for that. So I'm like, alright. He's drinking, talking about everything that has happened so far. Stacy coming back, Johnny coming back. As we see Johnny is going after the dude, goes in and pretty much goes Ghost Rider on him, and the dude's like, hey, listen, I don't want to go back. I've paid for my sins and everything. And he's like, where's everybody else? Trying to get more information, as he pretty much destroys the dude pretty effectively, saying that he's the king of hell and he's pretty much welcoming any challenges for it. It's basically the devil you know versus the devil you don't, i.e. Johnny doesn't want to be the king of hell, which is an interesting thing because usually it's like the best leaders you want in those positions are the ones that don't want that power. Johnny sure as fuck does not want the power, but he's learned to accept the Ghost Rider's curse at this point and learned to accept this role because it's something that he can do. It's a shitty job, he doesn't want it, but he's going to do it and make sure that less damage is done. While this is going on, we see that somebody comes to Danny in the form of his mother, and it looks very similar to Lilith's kind of speech, pretty much saying that something has gone wrong with Johnny, that he's been corrupted by hell and needs to be taken out. Ergo, setting up the whole thing of Danny versus Johnny, Ghost Rider versus Ghost Rider, and that's going to be one hell of a shindig smackdown. So I'm like, that's a great way to start off a relaunch of the Ghost Rider comics. We also at the end get a look at, I believe it is Sister Sarah as the caretaker being pulled towards something, as she is pulled towards something that she doesn't really understand, and then she finds out that it's kind of like a library thing, kind of similar to what happened with the other caretakers, except that when her grandfather died, that library had burned, and she's able to look through it and get some kind of revelations like, holy shit. So that's going to become important later on, and probably important with what's going on. So this was a nice reintroduction to Ghost Rider, and a nice just kind of setup for a really good kind of story going forward, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.